They want to reshape the entire console world by strangling competition. That's what some outraged gamers are shouting as they discover the lawsuit rocking Sony's PlayStation in the Netherlands. Is it sensational overreaction, or the inevitable backlash against a corporate giant that's kept its digital gates locked for far too long? Today, we dive headfirst into the riveting story of Sony's alleged abuse of power in the realm of video games. Why does it matter to millions of gamers worldwide? And what's truly at stake in this unfolding drama? In this video, we will explore every angle of this hot-button legal clash, how Sony allegedly built a closed ecosystem to keep competitors at bay, why Dutch consumer groups are crying foul, and how a future dominated by digital downloads could change the way we play forever. But first, let's lay out today's agenda. We're going to walk through the most explosive allegations from the Netherlands, examine the staggering claims of inflated prices reaching nearly half again as high as physical versions, and see how Sony's push toward digital-only gaming might leave players feeling boxed in. We'll also reveal how consumer rights organizations plan to dismantle the walls around Sony's digital marketplace, if they succeed, and what it all means for gamers who simply want more choice at a fair price. Grab your headphones, settle in, and let's unravel this extraordinary controversy step by step. Imagine waking up to discover that your favorite console developer is under fire for creating what critics call a walled garden in the video game space. The Dutch organization, Stichting Massachade and Consument, firmly believes Sony has been funneling PlayStation gamers toward a single store and limiting where digital games can be sold. According to them, Sony's dominance in the console universe, particularly in the Netherlands, stems from a catalog of iconic exclusives and a robust brand legacy that began decades ago. Nobody can deny the power of franchises like God of War or The Last of Us. But as digital downloads gain more ground in the industry, critics say Sony's formidable presence is spiraling out of control, letting them decide prices, terms, and distribution routes in ways that hamper competition. Let's talk specifics. The lawsuit claims that Sony prevents gamers from purchasing PlayStation titles through other digital platforms. If you've ever picked up a brand new game right from the PlayStation Store, you know the routine. You browse, you buy, and you download straight to your console's hard drive. But imagine you don't want to rely exclusively on that single marketplace for every new release you're excited about. After all, the fundamental beauty of a competitive marketplace is that you can hunt for deals, score better discounts, or compare different seller perks. Yet the Dutch consumer group insists that such normal shopping freedoms are virtually gone when it comes to PlayStation. And the numbers, written out in calm, measured words, are downright staggering. They claim close to 1.7 million Dutch gamers have been overpaying for digital game titles to the tune of 435 million euros since around 2013, an amount that leaps past $505 million, 47%. That's the difference they cite between a digital download from the PlayStation Store and its physical disc counterpart on store shelves. Doesn't that just make your jaw drop? It's not a trivial margin, especially considering that digital copies eliminate the need for plastic, packaging, shipping, or shelf space. One might intuitively expect those purely digital products to cost less, not more. But the lawsuit paints a stark picture. Sony's stronghold on digital distribution is inflating those prices in ways that cost the average gamer a substantial chunk of change over the years. Right about now, you might be thinking, but I love my Sony console. Is it possible that the brand I've supported is systematically locking me into its own store? Indeed, that is precisely the question spurring this entire legal confrontation. If the company were to open up its platforms to other online retail outlets, you might see a wave of price competition, new bundles, or loyalty rewards that currently remain out of reach. The argument from Stichting Massachade and Consument is that because Sony wields so much influence, some reports claim about 80% of the console market in the Netherlands, developers and other sellers can't fairly negotiate or offer decent competition. They either play by Sony's rules or miss out on a vast audience. Now, hold on to your controller, because we are about to delve into how Sony's increasing pivot toward digital-only consoles exacerbates this problem. Consider the PlayStation 5 Digital Edition. No disc drive, no physical games, no more late-night runs to the store to grab that new blockbuster release. While many see it as progress, fewer discs, fewer trips, less clutter, Critics argue it cements Sony's digital store as the only gateway to fresh gaming content. When you can't play discs, that means zero chance of buying used games or claiming older physical copies at reduced prices. And if there's no competition for which store you can buy from, well, you're stuck. The lawsuit aims to expose this dynamic in the cruel light of day, but also promises an intriguing remedy. The Dutch consumer group pushes for Sony to allow rival digital game sellers to list and sell PlayStation-compatible products. What would that even look like? Potentially, it's a scenario reminiscent of how gamers on the PC platform bounce between different online stores like Steam, GOG, or the Epic Games Store, snapping up whichever promotions and sales catch their eye. For console players, that level of freedom has been a distant dream, overshadowed by the major publishers' brand-specific storefronts. However, Sony is neither naive nor powerless. For years, the company has cultivated arguments defending its environment, often showcasing the robust security and streamlined user experience that stems from having total control over software distribution. They might point out that the ability to swiftly remove malicious or infringing content, ensure compatibility, and guarantee consistent updates is far easier when everything runs through official channels. Industry watchers say that if Sony's platform is forced open by legal mandate, there could be real consequences related to curation or the overall consistency of PlayStation's brand. But do those standards warrant a near-exclusive channel for all digital games? That's the question the courts will have to address. As we journey deeper, it's worth touching on a broader phenomenon: the general shift across the industry from physical media to digital downloads. We've all observed how boxes of DVDs and Blu-rays are gathering dust at the back of shelves, replaced by streaming services. In gaming, the transformation has been similarly dramatic. Physical game discs once reigned, but over the past decade, many gamers have chosen the instant gratification of downloads. Even AAA titles, the big blockbuster releases, can be pre-ordered and downloaded at midnight on launch day. No more waiting in line at the store. For Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, digital sales have become an increasingly lucrative slice of the pie. But for some consumer advocates, what started as a convenient option is morphing into a constrictive funnel, where platform holders decide everything from content availability to price. That's why the lawsuit in the Netherlands could, in theory, kick off a chain reaction. If Stichting Macéchade and Consument captures a legal victory or settlement, we might witness similar claims surfacing in other European markets or even beyond. After all, consumer law in the European Union has historically leaned toward robust consumer protection, and competition authorities have no qualms about scrutinizing big corporations that appear to stifle fair play in the marketplace. Even if the Dutch group doesn't win outright, the surge of public attention could pressure Sony to re-examine its policies and make partial changes that bring more flexibility to the digital purchasing process. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. According to reports, the first hearing is expected in late 2025. That's still some time away, meaning the legal battle will simmer across months or years. In the meantime, we can expect heated debates among gaming communities online. Some will defend Sony, praising the company for delivering polished, exclusive experiences and forging a robust platform that fosters big-budget masterpieces. Others will stand firmly with the consumer group, arguing that the fundamental right to choose your vendor and compare prices is a hallmark of a healthy capitalist economy. Which side are you on? Are you content to stick with the status quo? Or do you yearn for a console landscape where you can browse multiple digital storefronts the way PC gamers already do? If you find this unfolding drama as compelling as we do, consider liking this video. Show your support if you believe that shining a spotlight on these issues is essential for the future of gaming. Your engagement helps spark further discussions and might, in small but meaningful ways, contribute to change. You see, controversies in gaming aren't merely about numbers. They're about the core values of freedom, fairness, and innovation in an industry that thrives on pushing artistic boundaries. And if you're someone who gets excited about fresh narratives, intriguing mechanics, and the unstoppable evolution of console hardware, then what happens in the next courtroom absolutely could shape the future of the hobby you love. Now, let's return to an intriguing detail that underscores just how big the stakes might be. The Dutch group pinpoints nearly a decade of inflated prices due to Sony's alleged refusal to allow external digital retailers. Their rationale is that when no competition exists, consumers see fewer discounts. Think about the typical Steam sale that PC gamers love, that wave of 90% off deals for classics, or even half-price offers on brand new titles. For better or worse, Sony's current approach seldom allows for anything resembling that level of discount, at least not from external retailers. Sure, Sony might run seasonal promotions or flash sales on the PlayStation Store, but that's a single gatekeeper deciding which games get a price cut and when. Let's entertain a hypothetical scenario. Suppose the courts side with Stichting Massachusetts and Consummate in a big way. Sony might be compelled to integrate multiple digital storefronts, or, at the very least, enable third-party key resellers to offer licensed PlayStation downloads. This shift could set an unprecedented standard in the console world, echoing how smartphone ecosystems in some regions have had to open up beyond official app stores. But that level of openness also leads to complicated questions about security. Could scammers or unscrupulous sellers emerge, capitalizing on the new environment by distributing faulty or pirated content? Maybe, maybe not. Many believe third-party digital sellers, especially well-established ones, have robust checks and balances similar to official channels. Also, in the modern era, user reviews and trust signals are strong factors that help weed out the bad apples. The question is whether Sony can maintain any aspect of its curated environment if it's forced to cede partial control to external marketplaces, or if the entire ecosystem will fracture. Another factor to consider is how indie developers stand to be affected. Some feel overshadowed on the PlayStation Store and see an alternative retail environment as a golden opportunity to get discovered by new audiences. If a vibrant digital marketplace grows beyond Sony's official platform, perhaps it paves the way for more niche projects to find the spotlight. Conversely, could the added complexity and competition hamper the marketing deals or prominence some smaller studios currently enjoy? This lawsuit is about far more than just price tags. It could signal a structural transformation in how console developers distribute and promote their creations. Meanwhile, you might be wondering, what about the rest of the industry? Doesn't Microsoft do something similar with its own digital store for Xbox? Indeed, Microsoft has its own approaches, yet historically, Sony's exclusives have carried such vast prestige that the focus here is sharper. While these industry boundaries can blur, the Netherlands seems particularly intent on reining in Sony's apparent authority. After all, we're talking about an alleged 80% chunk of the local console market, a statistic that implies near total market power in that region. If that alleged figure is accurate, a big if, then one can see why consumer groups are unified in their mission. A dominant brand that large can theoretically shape the market at will, raising or lowering prices without fearing a rival's reaction. But sometimes, it's the intangible aspects that resonate deeply. Think about your cherished childhood memories of unboxing that shiny new game disc, carefully reading the instruction booklet, and physically owning that product you could bring to a friend's house or sell secondhand. Going digital has changed the emotional connection between gamers and their purchases. Now, it's merely a file in the console's library, subject to software licenses that might be altered or revoked. In a world that is increasingly intangible, you can see why some folks cling to the notion of freedom and ownership. This lawsuit, in part, is a fight for that intangible sense of control and choice. So, what comes next? The complex legal procedure will likely involve Sony defending its business model, presenting documents and expert testimony to challenge the allegations that it is artificially inflating digital prices. They might call upon economic models that show how a high standard of product quality, integrated network features, and guaranteed performance offset the differences in cost. Perhaps they'll highlight the resources poured into maintaining server infrastructure, global marketing, or special deals with developers to ensure top-tier exclusives. But will all that stand up against claims that loyal Sony fans in the Netherlands have been paying too much for almost a decade? A pivotal part of the debate also lies in whether or not we, the consumers, find it important enough to demand change. Some gamers are content to pay a bit more for convenience, thoroughly enjoying the pristine user experience, brand loyalty, and synergy between console hardware and software. Others balk at the idea that they're prevented from shopping around. The lawsuit's allegations about 47% markups are startling, but are they enough to trigger mass defection from PlayStation or a loud public outcry demanding reform? After all, console warriors can be fiercely loyal, and some might argue that Sony invests heavily in research and development, marketing, and partnerships with game studios, which they believe warrants a price premium. By now, you might be eager to weigh in or even take some form of action. If you have enjoyed this deep dive into the Sony lawsuit and want to stay in the loop, feel free to subscribe. That way, you'll be the first to know when we publish more updates on this situation, along with fresh insights into the evolving gaming market. Your subscription also helps us keep our channel growing and continue investigating the stories that matter. After all, the bigger these consumer rights battles become, the more crucial it is to have reliable, in-depth coverage that breaks through the chaos. Ultimately, the Dutch legal push is emblematic of a broader conversation about what digital ownership really means in the modern gaming age. When you buy a game digitally on a console, do you truly own it? Or are you simply renting a license under specific terms that could be changed at any time? If there's an exclusive store that sets the prices, how can you be sure you're not overpaying or missing out on deals that might exist elsewhere? Importantly, does the elimination of physical discs also eliminate important consumer freedoms? Some might argue that the genie is already out of the bottle. Digital sales have soared year after year. Younger generations have grown up with the assumption that pressing a download button on launch day is the norm. But does that new normal have to come with monopolistic restrictions? Or can we harness competitive forces for the benefit of everyone? That's precisely the battle being fought in the Dutch courts, a conceptual war over the future of gaming distribution. We should note that ever since around 2013, Sony's lineup of blockbusters has propelled them to incredible heights. Think massive global hits like Horizon Zero Dawn, Bloodborne, and countless other top-tier exclusives. The loyalty cultivated by those franchises often blinds consumers to what might be happening behind the scenes. People just want to play what they love. But as the digital marketplace grows and the costs associated with it become more obvious, it seems that even die-hard Sony fans are pausing to reconsider the economics. However, lawsuits of this magnitude are not resolved overnight. All eyes will be on the first hearing, tentatively scheduled for late 2025. If nothing else, the legal proceedings will peel back the curtains on Sony's pricing strategies, costs, and internal logic for sustaining a single, official store. The revelations might be eye-opening or might reaffirm what defenders of closed ecosystems have believed all along. Either way, we can anticipate a wealth of new information about how console gaming truly operates at the corporate level. Then there's the potential ripple effect. If Dutch gamers succeed in forcing Sony to open up and provide recompense, how might that empower other countries? European Union regulations often galvanize similar actions regionally. We could see consumer rights groups from Germany, France, Spain, Italy, or even beyond the continent take analogously bold stances, citing any favorable Dutch verdict as precedent. Meanwhile, if the lawsuit fizzles or is defeated outright, Sony could become even more entrenched in its current policies, claiming vindication and rejecting any subsequent attempts to unravel their digital exclusivity. This is truly a pivotal moment where everything is on the table. But let's not lose sight of the players at the heart of this. Everyday gamers, people who find solace and excitement in the pixelated worlds living inside their consoles, are the ones who stand to gain or lose the most. Timely discounts, broader content libraries, and general affordability can play a big role in how accessible gaming is to folks on tight budgets. If you had to shell out a premium price for every single digital title, you might wind up skipping experiences or waiting until heavy sales finally roll around, if Sony decides to implement them. On top of that, indie developers may hope for more distribution channels to help them cut deals or tailor promotions, fueling creative projects that may not get front-page placement on the official Sony store. As for the broader implications, some media analysts believe we're inching toward a future where everything is digital. Physical discs might become niche collectibles, something treasured by certain fans but mostly phased out of mainstream retail. Large corporations in gaming could further centralize distribution, or courts could rule that competition is mandatory, fostering multiple store environments on a single console. Either path radically changes how we engage with our hobbies and how companies shape their business models. Do we want an ecosystem more akin to the PC realm, with multiple sellers and storefronts, or do we favor the console tradition, curated under the watchful eye of a single brand? The tension here is incredibly fascinating, balancing the convenience and familiarity of an official, ecosystem-driven store against the robust consumer choice that blossoms when multiple sellers vie for your wallet. In many ways, this is the heart of the lawsuit. It challenges the idea that one company alone can decide the terms for millions of gamers without facing genuine competition. And while Sony fans might revere the brand, there's always the possibility that alternatives could spark innovations or discounts that even loyal customers would love to see. So, there you have it, the breathtaking saga surrounding Sony's all-digital push, alleged price inflation, and confrontation with Dutch consumer rights advocates who believe enough is enough. In the coming months and years, we'll learn how these complex dynamics play out, whether the lawsuit fizzles, explodes, or triggers negotiations that lead to a more open digital marketplace. One thing's for sure, the outcome could reshape how you, me, and millions of other gamers acquire our favorite titles well into the future. Once again, thank you for joining us on this deep narrative ride. If this story gripped your attention, if the future of console gaming matters to you as much as it does to us, be sure to keep an eye on our channel for continued coverage of this legal odyssey and other major shifts in the gaming world. Who knows what the courts will decide, or how Sony might respond next? In gaming, like in any fast-moving industry, surprising twists can come at any moment. Stay curious, stay passionate, and no matter what console you prefer, let's hope we all get the fair competition and vibrant choices we deserve.